A 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello friends, and welcome back to Swift Guitar Lessons for another Lick of the Week. In today's lead guitar lesson, I'm going to be breaking down some techniques that'll help you to kind of open up the fretboard, be able to navigate it with a little bit more confidence. We're going to do this by discovering how to transpose scales and licks over the three chords present in a common 1-4-5 blues progression shown here in the key of G. We'll get started by learning what a 1-4-5 chord progression is, how that's created from the major scale. Then we'll move into a little bit of rhythm technique. I'll teach you how to play that 12-bar blues in the key of G using just one shape. From there, we're going to learn how to transpose our scales and then move on to the lick of the week. I got all the tabs available for you at patreon.com/swiftlessons, where if you become a member, you can gain access to a ton of extra resources. Now, let's get started. Okay, so let's get started tackling some prerequisite information. First, what is a 1-4-5 chord progression in the key of G? Well, this is a chord progression that is built from the first, fourth, and fifth notes of the major scale in the key of G. Now mind you, each note in the major scale is a root note for the chords that belong in that key. And this is very useful information for songwriters because it tells them which chords work together. So, if I play my G major scale, starting from the 3rd fret of the low E string, I go up a whole step, a half step, a whole step, a whole step, a whole step, and a half step. I end up with my G major scale and the root notes for all the chords that work together with G major. Okay, so the notes in that scale were G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G again, the octave. Now, let's take a look at the first, fourth, and fifth notes of that scale. G. Now I need to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's C. Okay, so the 1-4 is G, C. Then up a whole step, we'll find the 5. D. Now you can play a blues progression with just the root notes. 1-4-5 in the key of G. Okay, now that you know the origins of this progression, let's construct a common 12-bar blues progression using the dominant 7th bar chord rooted off of that low E string. So let me teach you that chord shape first. Over our 1, okay, our first scale degree, G. Bar the 3rd fret and set up your 7th chord shape. My ring finger is on the A string 5th fret and my middle finger is on the 4th fret of the G string. That is a G7 chord. Okay, next we want to apply the same shape to the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And to the 5 by moving that up a whole step. Okay, now you've got something that is extremely powerful. The 1, G7. The 4 chord, C7. And the 5 chord, D7. Okay? Now you can put these chords together in a variety of different orders, different number of beats for each chord to create your own original song or your own progression. Let's learn how to play the standard progression in blues, the 12-bar blues. Okay, take that 1 chord, G dominant 7, and we're going to strum that for 16 beats or 4 measures. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I go up to the 4 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then I'm back to the 1 chord for 8 beats. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, now we're going up to the 5 chord for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the 4 chord. That's that C7 for 4 beats. 2, 3, 4, and then you're back to the 1 chord. Usually we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Up to the 5 chord, 7, 8 to turn it all around. Then repeat, okay? So, 16 beats on the 1, 8 on the 4, 8 on the 1, 4 beats on the 5, 4 beats on the 4, 6 back on the 1 chord, and then 2 beats to turn it all around back on the 5 chord. Okay, so with that 1-4-5 and 12-bar blues form, you can play thousands of different songs. Hound Dog, Sweet Home Chicago, Johnny Be Good, the list goes on and on. But our goal for this lesson is to learn how to jam over it as a lead guitarist. Okay, so let's get started talking about how to jam over that 1 chord, G7. The simplest way to approach this chord is to use your pentatonics, your major pentatonic and your minor pentatonic. Let's get started learning how to play the major pentatonic scale in the key of G. Sounds like this. Okay, so that began with the 3rd fret of the low E string, G, the root. 1 to 5. Then on the A string, we're going to play 2-5, 2-5 of the D, 2-4 of the G string, 3-5. Okay, that was my B string. Then the high E string, 3-5 as well. 3-5, 2-5, 2-5, 2-4, 3-5, 3-5. Okay, once you have it ascending, try descending. Okay, so many great licks come from that scale. Okay, think Texas Flood by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Okay, so the major pentatonic scale, great place to start. Okay, now let's try the minor pentatonic scale in the key of G. A little bit darker now. Okay, many of you probably know this one already. 3-6, A string 3-5, D string 3-5, same on the G, then the B string 3-6, high E string 3-6. Okay, so the major pentatonic scale, it's got that major blues sound, it's got a very joyful sound to it. The minor pentatonic scale has more of that, kind of classic rock kind of sound to it, very AC/DC. Okay, and much darker. Okay, the next step, transposing those scales the same way that we did our chords. So that major pentatonic and minor pentatonic in the key of G, surround it, that G7 chord shape, and those scales began on that same root. Now we can take those same exact scale positions, those scale finger patterns, and apply them to the 4 chord and also the 5 chord. In that key of C, all right, starting from the 8th fret, we have the major pentatonic scale, same exact finger pattern. And the minor. Okay, and I can do the same thing in the key of D, starting from the 10th fret. And this is one of the first tips that I got that really changed everything for me as a lead guitar player. Because then, when I was jamming with my friends, they would be holding down the rhythm for me. I would be able to jam over the 1 chord But then I wouldn't end up being landlocked in that same pentatonic shape. I knew that when the 4 chord came and my rhythm player switched to maybe a C7, I could follow them up there and be able to jam over that 4 chord. Maybe they went back to the 1. I followed them there as well. Then the 5 chord came to the 4 chord. And then finally back to the 1. And maybe I would find the root of the 5 in that first scale position as the turnaround took place. Okay, so that right there is one of the big secrets to lead guitar playing. And it's the bit of information that I want you to walk away with. If someone's playing for you a chord progression, you need to make sure that you really understand that chord progression. You know it inside and out. So that way, when they change chords, you can meet that chord with the appropriate scale. For example, if they start on J, you're playing in the G pentatonic scale or the G major pentatonic scale, mixing the two together. Then when the C chord comes in, for example, maybe it's being played over here in the open position, you can still go right up here to the 8th fret position and play the licks and scale notes that you know. Okay, now let's tackle the lick of the week and see if we can transpose it across those 3 keys. Okay, now jumping into our lick of the week, I'm going to demonstrate this at full speed, then I'll play it for you nice and slow, then break it up into 3 different parts for easier learning. Okay, it's going to sound like this. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now real slow. A 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, such a cool little lick there. Part number 1. One more time. Okay, so that was the 5th fret of the D string, a hammer from 3 to 4 on the G string. Then on the B string, 3, 5, 3. So far you have. Then pop in the string with my middle finger. Using my hybrid picking, I have the 3rd fret high E string. And that's the root, G. That right there is a great lick in itself. Okay, next part we're gonna play. One more time. Real slow. All right, so 6th fret B string, pulling off to 3. 5th fret G, then the 3rd fret of the B string. You put those 2 phrases together, we have. Okay, except that little pull off is going to be kind of quick. All right, one more time, putting parts 1 and 2 together. Then finally, we're going to finish it up. 3rd part. That same little hammer on the G string. 3 to 4. Then the root. The D string, 5th fret. To finish up the lick. Okay, so putting the whole thing together now. Part number 1. Okay, part number 2. Part number 3. Practice each of these parts over and over and over again. There's going to be some hesitations as you try to put the different parts together. The more you practice it, the more fluent it will become. One more time. For the lick of the week. Okay, fantastic. Now you have the lick of the week down, more or less. Let's see if we can transpose it to the 3 different chords we have in that 12-bar blues key of G. So we already have it in the key of G. Sounds great over that G chord. Now we're going to take it up to the key of C. Now we're starting on the 10th fret of the D string. Real slow now. Just like that. Now we're going to take it up to the key of D. All right, but that that lick might be a little too long for those 4 short beats that we have there. So, within that 12-bar blues, remember, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? There's 4 beats of the D and C chords. Okay, so what I did in my demonstration is I took that lick and I divided it between those 2 chords, D and C. So the first half of the lick can go to the D chord. Then the second half of the lick to the C, down a whole step, to get us back to the 1 chord. Okay, now moving into the extended cut for my premium patrons, we're gonna pick up a couple of extra licks. Thank you so much for your support. The first lick that I'm gonna show you sounds like this. One more time. All right, that sounds fast and complicated. Let's break it down and slow it down a lot. It's gonna sound like this real slow. All right, when you slow it down, it's not as intimidating. Speed is the easy part. That's just mindless repetition, okay, to achieve that. Understanding how a lick works, that's something different. Okay, so for this lick, I took my pinky on 6th fret high E string and went up to 7. Some people might slide that. I'm just picking both. Then I'm going to the 3rd fret root, high E string, 3rd fret. Okay, to achieve the first little portion that I'd like for you to get down. Get that little phrase down. Practice it over and over again, then move on to the next part. B string, 5th fret, pulling off to 3. All right, then the 5th fret G string, and a hammer from 3 to 4 again on that G string. It's a very common blues technique there, a minor to major 3rd. Okay, all right, let's put it all together. Part 1. Part 2. All right, without the hesitation. Now notice how I'm covering up the strings with these fingers that I have free. And I'm speeding up as soon as I get to that pull off to give it more of that blues vibe. All right, next, you want to try to experiment phrasing it differently. Try to make sure that you're meeting where you are technique-wise, okay? If you're extremely advanced, then maybe you can play it the same way I did. If you're a beginner, try to phrase it a little differently. Slow it down, okay? Make it a little bit more simple. Then we're gonna transpose it to the key of C. All right, so the same exact thing, 11 to 12. To 8, pulling off from 10 to 8 on the B string, 8th fret G, and a hammer from the 8th fret to the 9th fret of the G string. Very cool little phrase, very short little phrase that you can throw in as a fill. Okay, you can try it over the D chord as well. Great for that 4 beat section of our 12-bar blues. All right, back to the C. And back to the 1. Now you can really hear that 12-bar blues in the lead line. It's exactly what you want. Okay, lick number 2 now. This one's gonna sound like this. All right, one more time real slow. All right, I love this lick. Part number 1. I'm going up into the extension of that pentatonic scale. That was the 5th fret D string, our root. Then I'm going to take the 3rd fret G string, 5th fret, and slide up a whole step. Then the 6th fret of the B string completes the first portion of that lick. so that's part number 1. Now part number 2 sounds like this, real slow. Slid back from where I came, going 7 to 5, pulling off to 3, and then the D string 5th fret. Parts 1 and 2 together. Now that first 5th fret is a little long. Okay. After that, I'm going to go underneath 5th fret G string to start the next part. Alright, so that's the 3rd part of this lick. 5th fret G string, hammer from 3 to 4, 5th fret D string, 3rd fret, A string 4, and now the 5th fret of the A string, and that is the 5 in the key of G. Okay, the root note of that D chord. So, this would be a great lick to use just as that 5 chord is coming in during the turnaround at the end of the progression. Just like that for your final lick for this week's practice. Okay, so you have 3 licks to practice, your lick of the week. Your premium licks. The first one. Alright, and then your second premium lick. Okay, so there you have it, everybody. A little more fretboard freedom by transposing your scales and licks across the different chords in a given chord progression. Let's see if you can apply that knowledge now to some of your original work. Congratulations, everybody. You've taken a big step today.